Hello, Toronto Pride. Welcome to everyone being here with us. My name is Elder Blue, and I will start off by saying my name, which sounds like Tansei Iski Nikamun, Natisi Nakasun, Mayengan Dodem, Atathakup, Saskatchewan, Eskazoni Nadunjaba, Ayakwe. So, welcome to all the beautiful people that are existing out there today, sharing in this beautiful day with us, celebrating National Indigenous Day. Although every day is National Indigenous Day, but we get to celebrate it on today. So I want to welcome all the beautiful gifts from creation, everyone who is here today, bringing the diversity that exists and has existed since the beginning of time. Today, I'd also like to give thanks to those ancestors that are gone on before us, those ones that paved the way for us to be here today, who took care of the land, the waters, the plants, the trees, the animals, everything that's been in existence since the beginning of time. And also their hard work that they did to make this a safer space for us. And that we continue to pick up those responsibilities and navigate through today's world, bringing out that inclusion for everybody, bringing everyone back into the circles that exist out there of respecting us for who we are, for the many forms of knowledge and skills that we bring to communities all throughout Turtle Island and everywhere we exist and travel to. So I wanted to share that brief message with you because it's a new world, right? It's a new world we're living in, a new space, a new way of being, coming out from being isolated in our homes for so long, not being able to sit together and share food and space and conversation, but giving thanks that we are able to do it in this format, right? Coming to you so that you can see us, you can hear us, you can see when we give you big smiles, you can see when we're just kind of like, what's going on here? But we're hoping that we entertain you today. We're hoping that we bring you the beautiful gifts that people carry throughout our communities and celebrate each person for who they are, not for who we want them to be, not for them just being a human being, but for bringing their knowledge, their skills, their gifts, the abilities that they carry. As beautiful human beings that we are, we bring many different gifts to the table. And so I'm very happy that today we can sit with each other in this way and share each other in a space that is quite different than we normally do, but at least we can be here. We have some beautiful people here today who are going to be singing and dancing and talking and just celebrating who we are as strong, resilient, resourceful, taking part in that reclaiming of our histories, our culture, our ways of being, languages, methodologies in which we exist in today's world. It's a beautiful time. Even though we're going through this strangeness that we're experiencing with this virus, which has really taught us how to value each other. It's been a pain in the butt, but it's taught us how to be appreciative for everything that we have. And we've always been appreciative throughout the years, but even more so now. So as we come together today, and those that carry these forms of resurgence, bringing back and letting everyone see who we are and appreciate us for who we are. As gender diverse people, as two-spirited people, as LGBTQIA people, we all present ourselves who we are. And one of the best understandings that I ever heard was that, it's not up to us to tell somebody who they are. In the Cree language, we say, Awina Kakina, who are you? And that's where our responsibility starts, is to listen to the response and to embrace the response that somebody gives to us. So if they tell us that they're two-spirited, if they tell us that they're trans, if they tell us that they're LGBTQIA, if they tell us that their name is John, it's our responsibility to say, hi, John, welcome. I'm glad I can spend this time with you. And I'm happy that you're here with me so that we can develop good relationships with each other and build each other up and support in where we need supports and to just be kind human beings. So for that, I'm very grateful today that we can be here in this way and share this space. And I'm very glad that we can celebrate who we are, because we know that that wasn't always possible. But coming together here today and celebrating National Indigenous Day, celebrating in different diversities that we exist, different intersectionalities, that we can be one with each other and come together with that one mind in a good way. And so today I give thanks to those ancestors that are gone on before us. And I also want to acknowledge those that are yet to come, because that's where we come into play, right? This is where we're going to shine. We're coming into a space and being who we are so that we can make this world a better place for those who haven't arrived here yet. To be those good supports and resources, aunties, uncles, grandmothers, grandfathers, parents, siblings, and to be those relatives that we can bring everybody back together and we can celebrate for who we are and be our true authentic selves. So thank you to Toronto Pride for bringing us all here together and being able to sit with each other. And we have some more people here to speak with you. So I don't want to take any more time away from them because they bring beautiful gifts to us. So I'm going to ask that we start to show the next person up and we take it away from there. So glad you're here. Let's get this show on the road.
Ani Bojo Kanawea. The first song I'll be singing is the Strong Woman song and the Men's Traditional. Sunchild. Oh, what a wonderful time to have you singing by my side. We'll sing low, sing high. Oh, what a beautiful round this time. Ay, oh, hey, ay, hey, ay, ay, hey, hi, oh, hey, ay, ay, hey, oh, hey, Oh, what a wonderful time to have you singing by my side. We'll sing low, sing high. Oh, what a beautiful round this time. Ay, oh, hey, 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 oh. Miigwech. Happy Pride, everyone.
Oh, what a beautiful song. A bunch of beautiful music for us to listen to. So at this time, we're going to hear from two amazing people, Kylie May and Shane Lyon. And so I'm going to switch it over to them and they're going to share some beautiful words and understandings with you. Take it away.
Hello.
Stego, are we gonna let's do our introductions.
Yeah.
Stego so Guego, Golandodo, da new dancing song Beneath the Clouds Youngets. Kanyeke Haga, Niwa Gahonjoda, da new Art Noala, Niwa Kita Loda, Gionjain Dakwa Oswego, Nido Ageno. Hi everybody. My name is Golandodo. That's my Mohawk name. I belong to the Mohawk Nation. I am Turtle Clan, and my home community is Oswego, or Oshwegan, on Six Nations of the Grand River Territory. I also have another spirit name, Dancing Song Beneath the Clouds, and I'm very happy to be here to have this conversation.
Hello, Quinn and Lucy Shane. Hi, my name is Shane. Mi'kmaq, my family's from Annapolis Valley. Both my parents were born and raised in Toronto, as was I. My mother is the daughter of Irish immigrants, and I'm currently living in Windsor. And that's me. And yeah, we're happy to be here. Kylie, like, you look great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I just wanted to, don't have many opportunities to get dressed up, but here it is.
Do it.
Okay, so I guess it's just us talking.
Yeah, so yeah.
Moderated. Okay, so it's just gonna be a conversation.
Yeah. Well, we started this program, so it's through Two Spirit People of the First Nation in partnership with Pride. I think it's through Pride funding, and it's just to build leaders in our community, so we're better represented. Sorry, as Two Spirit peoples or Indigenous queer people, where we don't feel that we have enough representation or governance in our own, thing, that stuff like Pride or, other festivals that want to include us. And it's been really good. We've had different sessions with different elders, community leaders, just learning about Two-Spirit identities, leadership, and how we can apply that in our everyday lives and to support our communities. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really wonderful to specifically share space, virtual space with our community members, specifically like Two Spirit, Indigenous queer people. I always find it wonderful because it's very just validating to be, with my people, with our community, like even within like the queer community, like Pride Month, celebrates, LGBTQ as like sexual identities, gender identities. But even within that, there's like communities within communities. So it's wonderful to, be with and talk with and to connect with people who are also Indigenous and queer or trans, Two-Spirit people. So that's always it feels good to connect in that way, but more so to come together to talk about leadership, as Shane said, to find ways that we can support each other and uplift each other, but through this series, learning more ways to step into, to learn leadership skills and to, in my experience at least, be encouraged to take more action and to clarify what it is I need to do for myself within my community, but how we can sort of just like talking about the process and the steps of, leadership, activism, advocacy, and education, which is work I've been doing for a long time. But I feel like we've also found time to strategize and to break things down specifically about how we can take it a step further, but not just for us to take on the responsibility, but to put that back onto organizations or community groups, and to let them know how they can also step up and learn how to be more supportive and to uplift our community members.
Exactly. Well, and that just brings us to, Pride, I guess, as a whole. I talked about this in a lot of our sessions. It's just, representation for us specifically at Pride. And even you saying like this little, our Zoom sessions is nice to be with familiar people, but I can't say that I've felt that at Pride, over the years. It's great for everyone, and there's a time for, disco balls and jock straps, but it's not all that. It's like you look at how Pride started, and then you look at us as Two-Spirit Indigenous people. Like, we were respected in our communities before colonization, before the church and everything, and we're trying to unlearn and relearn ourselves. So it's hard not being seen or like represented at things like this. And I think that's something that we all need to focus on and kind of see where it goes from there. But
Yeah, I feel you on that. I've been living in Adelondo, Galondo, Toronto since 2007, and that's really when I really found the courage to really explore my gender and sexual identity, and I found community in downtown Toronto. I went to school and I also lived on Church Street. And my first experience of queer life and like trans life and culture was the gay village, which in my experience then and still now has been, my opinion, mostly a white cis gay male space.
Yep.
And in a lot of queer spaces and around Pride especially, I think historically have been dominated by cis white gays and lesbians for the most part. Things are changing, obviously, but what I'm trying to say is even like during Pride Month and week and all of these events and spaces where we're all supposed to be represented, where we are all supposed to come together, there's still a feeling of like disconnect or isolation or feeling left out, like specifically being like a trans queer woman or a trans Indigenous woman in some spaces. I sometimes feel like the minority, and I'm like, what's going on? And now, especially in the past few years, with so many political movements that are coming together at the same time, we had I'll No More, we have Black Lives Matter, we have Me Too, have really, really pushed to the forefront the importance of making changes. I've been educating and doing activism and allyship work, but activism, advocacy, and education since 2012. And I've been saying the same thing for so long about people having to educate themselves and step up and do better and take more action. But now it's like more people are saying it, and this understanding is more ubiquitous, which is great. But what I would like to see now in a lot of queer spaces, beyond just Pride Month, first of all, but especially for Pride Month and when it comes to Pride, the organization, to like, there's so much more room for improvement and really doing more to support Indigenous, Indigiqueer, Two-Spirit community members more specifically.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll
well,
throw it to you.
no, yeah, exactly. Like, well, so going through Pride's Instagram, right? Just for an example, you can tell where it's performative and where it's not. You scroll through, you see where BLM did their protest, then there's all like Black content. You scroll through, it's mixed up, and then then they clump together a bunch of different identities to look like everyone's included. I'm like, I just, I don't know, I don't get it. Like, what are they actually doing? Like, you can post a bunch of pictures and like, I know it's a famous photo, but an Indigenous woman in South America breastfeeding a boar is not my Indigenous identity. Like, sorry. It's, it's tiring. It really is.
Yeah, the word performative, you said that, and it really strikes a chord, because I feel like in a lot of movement like allyship, there's like a lot of performative allyship, or a lot of a lot of people, individuals and organizations and companies and corporations now, I feel, have to make these public statements that, you know, say we don't condone this kind of violence or that kind of violence or discrimination, and we are diverse and inclusive and we're all about representation. And I feel like a lot of that is lip service, like they're just saying it because it's the right thing to say.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm thinking, like, show me, don't tell me how you're an ally. Let me see how you're an ally through the actions you are taking at a systemic level within your corporation. And I think a lot of, you know, what we see in terms of who is prioritized or who is centered in queer spaces or pride spaces is reflective of who is in the organizational body, whether it's, you know, the board of directors or the committees or all of the planning groups and all of the organizers and event runners and volunteers.
Yeah.
So who is represented is reflected by who is organizing and planning. So I feel like what needs to be done, not just for Pride, but in all spaces, but let's focus on Pride, is not just taking those token gestures of saying we are, you know, inclusive of Two-Spirit people. I often feel like Two-Spirit identities and communities is often like an afterthought, an addendum. It's like, oh, let's just like throw it in, let's just give them a stage and everything's good. We're cool now because, you know, we've included you. So there you go. But it's like, well, no, because, and this is where we're going to like talk, you know, deep talks, real talks. Historically, there have been a lot of errors or harmful mistakes that Pride has done towards the Indigenous community and towards the Two-Spirit community.
Okay, where are we starting with this?
I've witnessed this. I've experienced this firsthand. So I think what I'm trying to get to, and we'll break this down, is what's needed is more than just like, has there ever been an official apology from Pride about, you know, the way that Two-Spirit and Indigenous communities have been treated or pushed out, or promises that were made and then we're like, you know,
we were supposed to lead the parade.
That year they let Justin Trudeau do it. Oh my God.
Oh, don't get me started.
So what needs to be done is more than just we're sorry, or we're going to give you this Zoom, or we're going to give you a little bit of money. There's this thing called restorative justice, where it's more, you need to do more than just say sorry or here's some money. You need to take action and steps to correct the wrongs that you have done, where you then work with the community and the individuals to heal that damage and to give back to the community. It's so much, that's just like saying, I'm an ally, but you're not doing anything about it.
Yeah,
so
it just continues like the genocide of like our people. Is like,
yeah, for sure. And what I say with allyship, you know, people, whether it's Pride or Indigenous, you know, month or whatever, people message me or ask me, how can I be a better ally? You know, like, can you please teach me how I can be better? Can you please tell me what this is so I can learn the history? And it's like, we are already so burdened with so many other things in our life because of all of the complexities of like all of the factors in society that make our lives more difficult and challenging. We don't need the extra burden of having to tell you what to do or educating you. What you need to do as an ally is educate yourself. I've been saying this for like 10 years, first of all, and then take the burden off of our backs and our shoulders, and then educate other people how to be allies. But being an ally means taking ally action. The key word is action.
Yeah.
Show us and don't tell us. So
yeah. Oh, 100%. And you know, I think that's a huge issue right now is toxic allyship. It's all performative. It's, you know, like people fighting with other people, and then they just want to like, I don't know. It's hard. It's very tiring. It's all very tiring. Even with, you know, recent events, like my inbox has just been full of, you know, white guilt, and I just, you know, I can't handle it anymore. Like Google something, or, you know, there's so much out there. It's all out there. You can
Sure.
find out yourself if you really want to know, and help lift us up. Like that's all we need. We don't need you to fight for us. We don't need you to do this. Like you lift us up. Like we have voices of our own. You know.
Right. I have so many things to say, but let's turn this into
Go for it, Kylie.
a constructive moment. So instead of us just griping or like
Yeah.
saying the things we've been saying for years, it's like
Yeah.
shouting into a void. What are things?
Well, I know you have a thing because we talked about it already.
I'm torn between like telling people what they need to do versus letting them figure it out and do the work. But like, okay, so what do you envision an ideal pride for our two-spirit communities? Like what would be like your fantasy or your dream of having our communities included and represented at Pride?
My ideal, like, Indigenous pride would be, you know, us leading the parade. Like, you're throwing a huge festival that's supposed to include everyone, but it's also being thrown on stolen land, right? So, you know, that's something that we should be leading, I feel. And I feel like we should have a space for the entire weekend, like, you know, specifically for us. And, you know, because Pride has turned into such a big party, every sponsor is a booze sponsor, like, you know, that's not, doesn't always align with people in our community. Like, you know, it's not a thing that I'm really care that much about, but you know, it is an issue in our communities. And, you know, if we could have a space big enough to, you know, have, you know, a sober half and, like, you know, a party half, and just have, you know, Indigenous content the entire weekend, like a space just for us. And, you know, we can invite people into our space. You know, we could have other performers, you know, like if you have friends or something, like, you know, that would be great. But having a two-spirit stage on Friday night from 7 till 10 p.m., like I worked from 3 to 11 most of the time. Like, so where's my representation for the rest of the, like, party? You know, it's just, there needs to be that there. You know, we could do so much, and it's just we don't have, like, no one gives us the chance, or they just say, well, you know, we said this. It's, you know, I don't know. What do you want?
I feel like you know, we do need to be more centralized and centered. I think I remember like the first year there was like a two-spirit stage. It was called like the Two-Spirit Electric Powwow.
Yeah.
And it was like in Dundas Square, like far away from like Church Street. And it's like, why are we on the outskirts? And you were saying that having a space the entire week, like I picture it like this giant lodge. It's like
With a fire for the whole weekend, you know,
that
like,
would be amazing. But I know it's like the other thing is like, regardless of, you know, aside from being Indigenous and Two-Spirit, it is important to have sober spaces and family-friendly spaces. I'm sober. I don't party. No, I love to party, but I don't party. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't drink, I don't do drugs. No shame to people who use, like,
exactly.
their own. But I love to dance and I love to participate. But if we could have a space where, you know, because Pride, I do feel like Pride is just a big, massive street party every year. And we need to remember that it was, you know, it did start out as a political movement, you know, you know, everyone knows the first Pride was a riot, but also Pride can be a space where we can perform and where we can come together and create like
ourselves.
I visualize like massive like beading workshops, or, you know, people learning how to dance, or like regalia making, or incorporating our elements of our culture and identity into Pride, as opposed to, you know, just, you know, there's so much that can be done. And the way these spaces can be created is by having Two-Spirit and Indigiqueer people in the planning process, on the committees, on the boards, who are planning and organizing.
And that's essentially what this program, you know, if it, like, hopefully in the future, like, this will continue and build these people to be leaders in the community and to make sure these things happen. And you know, it starts here. Like, this program has been amazing, and I think it will be really successful for our community if it continues.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas about restorative justice and how?
Okay, well, not since you told me yours, because I'm just stuck on that idea now.
Okay. Like, which one? What?
The conference you went to in Hollywood.
Right.
Yeah.
I wish I went there, but it was a Zoom thing.
It was a Zoom thing, yeah.
You know, I've been focused on, you know, like I said, stepping up diversity and stepping up inclusion and also stepping up allyship. And I've been saying this for a while about taking action and doing more than just saying sorry or I'm an ally, and just putting that back onto people and letting them figure out how to do more, how to level up, you know, their allyship. And you know, when it comes to restorative justice, I encourage people to learn themselves on their own way, to educate themselves on restorative justice and what that means, what that process is like for Indigenous communities. But you know, I was telling when we were on one of these sessions before, I attended this conference online. It was put on by this startup initiative in Los Angeles. And what they did was they brought together 50 trans experts from around the world and 50 film and TV screenwriters in Hollywood to come together to have a massive dialogue. And we were put in breakout rooms, and we trans experts were basically talking to them about how they, as screenwriters and content makers, can do a better job of representing us. And but more than just that, you know, aside from us telling them what they can do, at the end of the conference, one of the organizers told all of us that there was this, they came up with a reparation fund. They acknowledged that throughout the history of film and TV, throughout the history of cinema, a lot of damage had been done to the trans community because of the detrimental tropes and stereotypes and cliches, the way we were depicted in very negative, harmful ways, led to more violence to our communities. Yeah. And they acknowledged that more needed to be done than just improving the way we are depicted. So what they started was this fund where they were collecting donations from the producers and the writers and allies who were cisgender allies. And what they were doing was collecting donations into this reparation fund and then distributing those funds to all of the trans participants as their way of showing and doing more than saying sorry. And that was their way of compensating, you know, our time. And I thought that was an excellent way and an excellent example of taking ally action and doing more. Yeah. And it could be contentious. Like, I'm not saying restorative justice means paying people. Yeah. Money's nice, but something needs to be done more.
Well, you know, money does help, because if you look at it, you know, how much does it cost to put on the Church and Wellesley stage every year, or like the bigger ones, and then compared to, you know, the stage they give us for 3 hours, you know, like how much money are they getting and how much money are we getting? Like,
yes.
What? Sorry.
Or the artist fee or the performance fee paid to like the most famous, white cis drag queens versus like the Indigenous performers.
So with the thing you're talking about is, essentially these performers or,
So I think a good start would be like to balance that, to redistribute the resources. I think it would be amazing if every Pride year there was an amazing, if there was a way to give performers and artists the option to choose whether to be paid their full artist fee or to donate a portion of that, or who knows, maybe all of it if they wanted to Spirit performers in the community. And I think that would be an amazing way to go about it.
That would be amazing
To start.
And I think a lot of people would be on board with that. Like, I honestly do. So let's make it happen, Kylie.
We're gonna make it happen.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, well, yeah, that's Blue. Are you back?
I am, and thank you. You two are amazing. Such wonderful suggestions and input that not only you feel, but that community feels. And that's what's really important, that we're not doing this as individuals, but we're doing it as a collective of community input that we've all been experiencing since, we attend Pride, and we want to be included, thoroughly included, not just a checkbox on the lists. And I think you articulated that quite well. So thank you for all your beautiful input and your knowledge that you've brought here today. And we're going to move on to another amazing, beautiful performer, and that is Nino. Nino is going to come to you today and be part of this celebration. And I'm going to flip it over so that we can turn it over to Nino so that we can hear another beautiful performer. And thank you again, Kylie and Shane, for your impactful words that are so much needed. And I hope they're being listened to and we will see change made. So thank you. On to Nino. Come on, Nino. Holy, if that crow didn't hop into your heart, I think you're not breathing. Wow, what beautiful, beautiful regalia we just seen there. And that gift of dance, that gift of walking in the ways that our ancestors did, you know, showing those foot movements that all have meaning and purpose. You know, and that's a good point that you touched on, Kylie and Shane, was, you know, there's more to us than just our identity as Indigenous people, right? There's our culture, there's our language, there's our teachings, there's our dance, there's our songs, you know, and that makes up all of us being the beautiful human beings that we are. Because we all know that at one point we were spiritual beings, and at one point we will be spiritual beings again. But as we walk through this world, you know, we embrace all of us, our spirituality, our emotion, our physical, our intellectual, and that encompasses us as a whole person. We're not just a checkbox. We're not just someone to represent the Indigenous people. And we're not just the end all be all as an individual. It takes every one of us in community to be, to represent a healthy community and a vibrant community, one where we are well. And it takes all of us coming together as in our diversity that exists, and to be okay with being different than what the world out there tells us to be, right? That gender binary of only being of one or another. But we've always known that we have been all parts, and we are many parts, and we have many identities, and we bring many gifts to the table. You know, since the beginning of time, one beautiful teaching, and I'll share it briefly with you here before we get ready to close it off, is that, you know, back before we had cities and buses and trains and streetcars and all the modern conveniences, you know, we lived in communities, and we were healthy. We didn't have psychiatric institutions. We didn't have psychologists and psychiatrists that charged us $1 million just to see them. We didn't have jails and institutions where people were put away to because they did something wrong. We had support from each other in community, and we were well. And at the center of those communities was the two-spirited people. And as we lived and existed in spaces, we had to move from time to time so that we would be sustainable, that we didn't overuse everything that was in one area, always honoring our Mother, the Earth, and all that she gives for us. So we would move to another space. And as we were moving, we traveled through a community. And when we got to that community, one of the first questions they would ask is, where are your two-spirited people? Because some members in our community during this journey may not have been well, whether it be emotionally, physically, spiritual, or intellectual. And those two-spirited people were those balance bringers. And if the community said, I'm sorry, we have a couple people here, but they're gone off to do some work to help some people out, we would just say, okay, well, thank you. Here's a gift. We're going to pass through your community and go on to the next one as we find a new space. That's how important we were, that they wouldn't just stick around and socialize and gather, because two-spirited people have responsibilities to community, not just to be seen and just be a check off mark on a piece of paper. And, you know, thanks to places like Two-Spirited People of the First Nations, that they create this space for us to truly be who we are, to reconnect to who we once were, and to provide this space and to provide beautiful people to come and help be our teachers. And I don't mean that just by what we see with our eyes, but what we feel with our heart. Knowing that the two guests we had today, Kylie and Shane, who spoke to us, Nino with their beautiful gift of dance, which are prayers and which are hard work and well-learned understandings. Our young singer that came in at the beginning, Kiana, right? Sharing that gift of song, showing that we are so resilient. Our young ones are going to carry on after us. You know, there's many talks about how, you know, the government's tried to eliminate us, the genocide that was committed and did happen. And many of our community members suffered. But one thing was, they tried to get rid of us, but they didn't know that we were those seeds. And we've been planted deep within the earth, our mother. And we will continue to rise and to shine and to show the beauty that we carry as two-spirited people. Coming together with each other, sharing our knowledges, sharing our songs, sharing our dance, sharing our understandings of well-being. We were the communicators. Two-spirited people had that role, and they had it down pat, which you've seen today with the education that you were given today through Kylie Mae and Shane, right? We were those communicators. That was our gift that we're bringing you. And it's time for the broader communities to open their eyes and see the value that we bring, all of our being, not just to be an afterthought at an event, but to be those that have great roles in events, because we have those skills and we will continue to bring them, because those seeds rise up every day in every new generation that comes forward, that we help pave the path for them. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's been on this live today. I hope you've got a little bit of happiness in your day with the many varieties of understandings that were brought to you today. Hearing the songs, we haven't been able to be at powwows, even to just be social. And so that's part of our well-being, but it's not all there is to us, right? Look towards us for our thoughts, our information, what we think needs to happen. Our voices are valuable. Our community members are waiting and have been asked for many years. There's reports sitting on shelves everywhere saying, what do the Indigenous people need? Grab those books off the shelves. Stop coming to us and saying, well, you know, tell me what I need to be a good ally. You have the information. Open up Grandma Google. Look it up. If you want to be a good ally for Indigenous people, you have to be named an ally by the Indigenous people. You don't get to claim it yourself. It's not a store where you can walk into and grab it off the shelf, stick the badge on your shirt and out the door. Doesn't work like that. You have to have meaningful conversation and relationship to honestly form that way of being with those you are trying to form that allyship with. You have to be actively involved on a continual basis. Do not check us off in boxes, because we are going to bring you all the information you need but you too have to do your work to be that beautiful ally that you can be. And we'll continue to be those beautiful seeds continuing to grow and bloom. So thank you everyone for being with us today. Thank you, Kylie, and thank you, Shane and Kieran and Nino, and all of you that have been here today watching us. And thank you to Two-Spirit people of the First Nation, to Toronto Pride, and to each of you for being those beautiful gifts. Hi, miigwech, and until we meet again, Oma P. Be well.